Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today's project, we're going to be changing this outlet here in the garage. Now this outlet here is a GFI outlet, just so you know. And just for reference too, a GFI and a GFCI is really the exact same thing. They both do the same thing. One is a ground fault interrupter. The other is called a ground fault circuit interrupter. They pretty much do the exact same thing. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to replace this one here, and the reason we're going to change it is when we plug into it, it pops off the side piece right here, and it turns it off. And when we unplug it after using it, it does the exact same thing. So we're just going to replace this outlet, and we're going to install a new one. All right, so let me bring in there. I'm going to show you what tools you're going to need, and then we're going to get this job done. The most important thing is you need to make sure that this outlet is dead, that the power is turned off before you get in there and do it. And not just turned off by this buttons on the side right here. You have to make sure it's turned off inside your electrical panel. All right, so let me bring in, I'm going to show you what tools I use, and then we're going to get in there, we're going to get this job done. Now this one, just so you know, it has a little light right inside here that tells you if the circuit has popped or not. I do like that, versus the one that does not have a light. So I will be getting the exact same replacement here. I did not get it from a big box store. I picked it up at an electrical supply outlet, just so you know. But the big box stores have similar outlets just like this too. All right, so let me show you what we're going to need tool-wise, and then we're going to get in there and we're going to get started. Okay, this is what we're going to be needing. We're going to need a couple of screwdrivers, a flat head, possibly a Phillips head. We may need a pair of needle nose pliers. We may need a pair of wire strippers, I'm not sure. And if you're like me, you're going to need glasses so you can see what you're doing. This is the unit I'm using here. This is called a non-contact voltage tester, and it's made by a company called Testman. This one here, I do like this one because it actually has a light built into it. You turn the unit on, just like that. It turns on, and by default it turns to a 12 volt to 1000 volt range. Now if you want to use it from a 70 volt to 1000, then you just hold this button down a little longer and it changes to the 70 to 1000, but this is the one I'm going to use now. Now if you're working in an area where it's a little bit dark and you can't see, you can turn the light on, and you just press this button and it turns on the light just like that, so you can actually see where you're working. We're not going to need that today because, as I said, it's a fairly bright area here. So we're just going to turn that back off. Turns it off. And there's this unit here, just so you know. If you put this back in your toolbox and you forget that you had it on, it will turn off, I think, after 3 to 5 minutes. It turns off by itself. And it just has normal batteries that go back in here. I think they're the AAA batteries, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so, all right, let's get in here and let's get started. And the way we're going to do it, you know what, let me put you on the tripod. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this outlet, the power is turned off. So let's take our non-contact voltage tester. If there was power present, you'll see it beeping just like that. So we know that there's power in there. So we're going to go into our circuit breaker box. We're going to open it up, and we're going to turn off this outlet here. So now, as you can see, the power is turned off. Let me show you again. It's on, and it turns red, and now it's off. So now we know that there's no voltage in this outlet whatsoever. All right, let's turn this off. We're going to grab our screwdriver. We're going to take out this screw and this screw so we can gain access into the outlet itself. Watch out you don't lose these screws, because we will need to put them back in. We're going to take out this screw here and this screw here. Let's pull this out so we can see it. Now this one has electrical tape wrapped around it, so we are going to do the exact same thing when we put this back together. Let's take the tape off. Okay, let's get rid of this. Okay, so now next thing we're going to do is we're going to come up underneath here, and you can see where our wires are connected. Looking at the box right here, we have the ground is facing down, so that's the exact same way we're going to put it back in. Now, if you're not going to remember where the lines are connected at this point, you probably want to take a picture of it, so that way you'll be able to tell where your wires go back on once we get the new one. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to come in here with a screwdriver just like this. We're going to loosen this up. We'll pull our wire out just like that. We're going to disconnect the other side right here. Now remember, we tested the power to make sure it was off, so we know this is not on. All right, we're going to take that off there. And then, of course, we're going to remove our ground screw right here. Okay? And that's all there is to it. That's the outlet. So let's grab our new one. Now remember, when we took it out, it came out this way with this facing down to the bottom and these wires just like this. Remember, this is your power lead. This is the one that brings power into the switch itself, and that's always on this side of the switch here. Okay? Read your directions that come on the new label, of course, and then we'll put it back together and we'll make sure that this job works. All right, let's run over, grab our new one, and we'll come right back. Okay, so now we have our new outlet. Let's get in there and let's put this outlet back in, and we'll make sure that everything works out perfectly. Okay, now when you look at the wiring, the screws in the back of it right here, these wires up here we're not going to use. The wires that connect onto here are actually, if you wanted to have another one that was being protected by this ground fault interrupter, if there was another outlet on the other side of the room that you wanted to feed off of it, you could have the standard outlet and it would work off of this GFI outlet here, and it would protect the other outlet as well. I hope you understand that, but that's what this is for. All right, so first thing we're going to do now is we're going to take our wire, our black wire, which is our power lead, and if you look on the back of the switch itself, it tells you right here line, and line is the one that it has power coming in. Okay, so what we're going to do now is you're going to, oh, let me just point this out to you here as well. There's different kinds of outlets here too. Where are you? There's different kinds of outlets here. This outlet here, you can see that it has that screw right there and it has that little metal tab. The wire goes behind that wire tab and is secured down and held in place by that little metal tab. Some of the other switches, the less expensive switches, they don't have that little tab on there like that. They just have the screw. And if it has just the screw without that little tab, then you need to create a loop in the end of the wire and put that loop onto here to actually hold the wire behind that screw. All right, so let's get in there and we'll put this back together. Now we're going to put our line on first. Remember, we took it off this way, so we're going to take this wire here. We're going to bring it in to the back right here, just like that. Slide it down until it's all the way in, and then we'll tighten that screw up. It's in as far as it goes. Let's screw this down. Now it's snug, and we're going to tighten it down really tight. Okay, and that now is behind that little metal tab that I told you about. Okay, so now we're going to take it, we're going to turn it around this way here, and we're going to do the exact same thing right here on the wire. It's going to go behind that tab right there, just like that. Hold it in place with your hand, and then we'll tighten this one down as well. I'm just going to switch down. We're going to tighten this up all the way. Okay, nice and tight. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to connect on our ground wire right here. And that, remember, was down right there. And the way we're going to do that, again, we're going to slide it in all the way just like that. And now we'll tighten down that screw all the way down until it's snug. Just like that. Okay, Let's tighten it up a little bit tighter. Sorry for putting my back to you. Okay, everything is tight. Let's test it one more time, make sure it's tight. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to take some electrical tape and we're going to wrap the electrical tape around there as it was before. Let's grab our utility knife. Let's cut that off. Let's tuck it down just like that. Now these wires, we're going to tuck them back in the box where they belong. And you can see that these are bent a little bit. And they're like that for a reason, because we want to tuck it in nice and evenly back behind there. So we're just going to bend the wires. And we're going to push this back in. Just like that. Remember, this was facing down, the ground. And now we'll catch the screws back inside the box. Before you tighten it up all the way, you want to make sure both top and bottom are actually caught into the screws or into the box itself. Okay, and now we'll snug it down. Okay, and you want to center the outlet in the box itself, so that way everything is exactly centered on there, just like that. We'll screw this one down here as well, center it as well. Okay, nice and tight. Okay, and we'll take our cover, put our cover back on just like this. And before we tighten up the screw all the way, we're going to catch both of them in there. Okay, that's all there is to it. This is actually finished. Let's turn our power breaker back on and we'll make sure it works properly. Turn it on. Let's test it. And as you can see, okay. And of course we can test it right here as well. Test. And you can see what I mean about that little red light. I do like that because that way you know that the circuit breaker is actually tripped. And we can reset it just like that. All right, so as you can see, changing the outlet is fairly easy. The most important thing is to make sure that you turn your circuit breaker off in your main power box before you open it up. Remember what I said. If you pop this switch here and it turns these GFCI off, there's still power in that one lead, that black lead coming into there. So make sure you turn the power off in your circuit breaker box. Very important. Make sure you take your non-contact voltage tester just to confirm that there is no power in that outlet whatsoever. All right, that's it. This job is done. I will put a link down below for all of the tools that you saw me using in this video. I will put the link down below so you can actually check them out in my Amazon store. All right, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.